So I'm out in the woods and the snow has melted, and this is the best time of year because we have wild coffee beans growing. And I want to show you how you can spot them, is they'll be in like a pile. And if you can actually taste them. They're a bit nutty, but it's great because when the snow melts, they start popping up, and we find them all over our property. They're really good. So I recommend looking for some wild coffee bean sprouts. It's pretty sweet. Hello and welcome back to our sustainable journey. I am Steve. Today we are going to take this and we are going to turn it into something over here. These are bars of beeswax. So these are each an ounce. So I'm in my basement lab, and I'm going to show you how we do that. Step one in melting your beeswax is to get a crock pot. This is one of the ways to do it. This is the cheapest way, I think. I think the next way is a double boiler, or you can make your own double boiler. That works just fine. You can do steam. I've seen people use steam machines essentially to melt it down into shape. And then the final version is the actual wax melter from one of the major companies, Dead End, Man Lake. Those types of companies, they make high-end wax melting. It's basically a tank. It's kind of the same idea. But before you do that, what I would recommend is getting your wife's permission, because this will be ruined. This is strictly for wax. Now I actually have two of these. There's a littler one over there. We only use these for wax. We do not use them for food because it is impossible to get the wax off of this crock pot after we've done this. So make sure that everyone in your household is aware that you are going to be ruining this crock pot for beeswax. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna fill it up with water about halfway. I need way more water. Let me go get more. Part two. More water. There we go. About half full of water. Okay, the reason you're going to do that is because the wax is going to float to the top. All the other stuff sinks to the bottom, because we have, there's parts of bees. That's a dead bee right there. That's going to get mixed in. There's, I don't know what is it, grass. So that stuff is going to kind of sink to the bottom, and you're going to get like a disc along the top of the wax. So the next step is we're just going to dump it in there and let it all kind of melt down. So this usually takes me a few hours to do. What I'll do is I'll just be working in the next room or whatever, and I'll check on it like every hour and see how it's breaking down, and then just keep adding a little bit in there as we go. You can see like there's a leaf right there and what have you, but that'll all get sorted out in this process. So other things that you're going to need is a way to sift out the stuff that doesn't belong. So I have my utensils that I bought specifically for sorting out wax. So we have, giant spoons. This I got from a brewery supply store to pull out the slum gum. So the slum gum looks like this. So here's a batch that I just did of slum gum. So this is bee parts, dirt and grime and things like that get left over in the wax. So you can see there's plenty in this You'll see once we melt this down, all the slum gum that's gonna sift in here. Once this all melts, it'll become like a nice soup. We'll keep stirring it like you're making a stew, and you'll be able to separate out that stuff from the actual wax. So then you'll have pure wax. Keep adding and mixing. So remember last time we had 8 gallons approximately. So we'll get it going. And I put this on the lowest setting. So this is 10 hours for this one. Because we're not in a hurry. You do not want to overheat your wax. You always want to do it on the lowest possible setting. Because that can change, it can damage it, and it can create like darker wax and kind of burn it and things like that. So you want to be careful. But yeah, so we have 8 gallons. So I'm going to try and do the 8 gallons for you guys to show you what that ends up being. I have 5 more that I got the other day here. And then I think I have another 10 gallons upstairs from some wax that was harvested that I've just been waiting to get around to doing this. Because like I said, it takes a whole day of just monitoring it, because you don't want your crock pot getting too hot or being left alone for too long. You don't want to leave it overnight until we get to the last part, which is letting it cool. Once we've added everything to it, or as much as will fit in here, we'll let it cool overnight, and that'll create the disc. So yeah, we'll check back on this in just a little bit once I see that it's melted a little bit more down. Throughout the entire process, make sure you are stirring it. Looks disgusting right now, but it'll clear up once everything melts down. Be excited by what it looks like when we're done. Soup. And I'm going to stop adding at this point, because this should be plenty for what we need. So I may end up straining some of this stuff off, and then what'll be left will be the wax. So this is a lot of the slum gum, which is just kind of this stuff. I mean, this is the goop that bee parts and miscellaneous pollen or whatever else got left behind in the frames. So getting there. So once you get it pretty much melted here, you can actually see I turned the thing off and then it started to solidify, so I turned it back on again. I use these flour sack towels, cut them into quarters because you don't need a whole one. Put it into my strainer like that, and then just strain it into a tray. And then what's left is going to be the slum gum. So, I don't know, let's see if I can get some of this in here. See how warm it is. It's very, very messy to do it this way. But all it cost me was some kitchen stuff and a crock pot that we weren't using. So, other ways to do this while I'm waiting on this is you can put this all into like a cheesecloth bag and put it in a pot of like boiling water and kind of dip it in there, and what will happen is the wax will go through the cheesecloth, end up in with the water, and then it will separate out overnight, and you'll have a clump of cheese. You'll have a clump of wax on top, and the water will be on the bottom. So that's another way to accomplish the same thing. What we're gonna do is that? If I pull this up, you can see that the wax is starting to come through. And that's all there is to it. It's just slowly straining it all. And then what's going to happen is I'm going to do it one more time as a batch of this stuff, because you can see there's still some impurities in there. And what will happen is the impurities will sink to the bottom. The wax will rise to the top, so then you can scrape off the bottom hunk. And I'll put it into our other little mini crock pot. And that way I melt it down into the molds that we use. So yeah, I'm just gonna go for the easy stuff right now. The wax on top. And that's it. So that'll be my day of straining this out. Seeing all the pure wax coming through. All the slum gum on top. So what we'll do with this stuff is, because there's still going to be some wax in there, and I want to make sure I got it all. So I actually have a wax melter that I'm going to use this summer when the sun's out again, when the sun comes, and I'm going to put these packs of slum gum and towels in there, and I want to see if I can melt it down and get every ounce of wax out of here. Because darn it, that's my wax. So, and then the rest of this will go to, the rest of the slum gum will go to the worms or to the chickens. And there will be no waste. So, kind of cool. So there you go. Thanks for tuning in. We will see you all next time. Take care. Alright, I gotta show you the follow-up. There it is. I'm gonna actually rinse this off because that's full of, remember we put water in there? So let me rinse this off real quick and then I will show you it as pure honey, or pure wax. So now this is pretty pure. It's close. There's still little bits of things in there, but considering I only strained it through this, and I mean a little bit through the cloth. So what we'll do is we'll do one more through the cloth on its own batch in the clean crock pot that I have, that I use just for basically the most pure stuff. So the most pure stuff goes in here. I mean, there's still a little bit of stuff on some of these, but then we'll filter it through these again, and it'll come out perfect. So from from that to that to that, and then from this one into these lovely beeswax blocks. So it'll get there. Just takes time, patience, and a lot of your wife's kitchen appliances.